A basic premise of this course is that the comprehensive plan has as yet unrealized potential to enable local jurisdictions to address the critical challenges of the 21st century. There are many ways of framing what the comprehensive plan of the future could be. In this closing chapter, I'll identify 5 key themes as directions in which comprehensive planning practice can and must evolve in order to yield truly sustainable, resilient, and equitable outcomes. So these themes are equity and engagement, climate change, mitigation and adaptation, systems thinking, people-centered technology, and effective implementation. So you can see these reflect some of the materials we've been covering in the course. And I'm going to review the themes one at a time, starting with equity and engagement. The comprehensive plan of the future will advance the principle of interwoven equity by giving voice to and providing for the needs of all community members. And this means applying an equity lens to all goals, strategy, policies, and actions. Again, the interwoven equity principles from the comprehensive plan standards. Engaging all segments of the community, especially those previously excluded, throughout the planning process, and monitoring who benefits, whose needs are being met during implementation. Moving on to climate change, the existential environmental threat of our time, the comprehensive plan of the future will set the direction for communities to address climate change. And this is through both mitigation and adaptation. So to address mitigation, the comprehensive plan needs to set the direction to go beyond net zero to climate-positive planning and design solutions like large-scale tree planting that draw down carbon from the atmosphere, and also provide co-benefits such as improved community health. To address adaptation, promote climate resiliency as a guiding principle for planning and design. Moving on to systems thinking, the comprehensive plan of the future will embed systems thinking in the planning process, the substance of the plan, and plan implementation. This means completing the evolution from the 20th century model of siloed elements to an integrated systems approach, and also going beyond the current state of practice to recognize the complex interrelationships between different community systems and subsystems, and operationalizing system characteristics and behaviors, stocks and flows, feedback loops, hierarchies, leverage points, and more in developing and implementing the comprehensive plan. Again, I mentioned earlier, the Albany 2030 Comprehensive Plan was an example of a plan that tried to do this. Moving on to people-centered technology, the Comprehensive Plan of the future will harness technology to engage and serve the needs of the community. And this means using technology to empower residents to define goals, priorities, and implementing actions through the planning process, what's been referred to as participatory co-creation, and using technological tools and applications during plan implementation to help realize community goals and priorities. So one example might be to use smart city digital twins to test policy options during plan implementation and monitor performance in realizing community goals during implementation. The comprehensive plan of the future will apply new approaches and tools to translate the community's vision and goals into measurable results through implementation. This means incorporating a strategic focus on implementation throughout the planning process, and in doing so, replace outdated 20th century practices with new, more flexible implementation models and tools that account for the uncertainty of change. So one example might be using an adaptive management approach developed by natural resource professionals to monitor progress and adjust implementation activities accordingly. Very importantly, I think there are new governance approaches that are needed to realize community goals and the desired outcomes of the plan. So one example might be to engage public, private, and institutional partners in an ongoing formal structure to implement the plan, which would be an example of level 4 from the levels of implementation model. This brings us to the end of the course. Thank you for your attention throughout. There's a lot more I could have covered. For example, interactive online plan formats, and how to communicate the plan to diverse audiences. But if there's one thing I'd like to leave you with in closing, it's the potential of the comprehensive plan to address big 21st century issues, particularly if scaled up across the thousands of jurisdictions in the U.S. that prepare and update comprehensive plans. So I can't think of a better way of summarizing this than a famous quote by the anthropologist Margaret Mead: "Never doubt that a group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it's the only thing that ever has."